Welcome back to Alumni Game, the show where three Gamecocks dive into South Carolina sports, football, hoops, the NCAA, everything that comes along with it.
Where our opinions are never filtered, sometimes reasonable, and always fun.
That's right. You can check out all of those takes that we have on YouTube, Instagram, and wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on all those platforms. Settle in, y'all, and let's get started with this week's episode of Alumni
Game!
Hey, Gamecock fans, welcome back to Alumni Game, the sports podcast. We talk about South Carolina sports, football, basketball, championships, NIL, whatever it is. We're back tonight talking about new Gamecocks on the squad for the football team that Shane Beamer's brought in. And we got an interesting one tonight because as far as I can tell, not a new Gamecock of sorts because he has played a bit, but looks like an offensive piece that we're going to be able to use this year in his second year, which is fine. Obviously, it's new to me because I don't really remember much of this individual. But why don't you got a little explaining to do here, Buster?
Yes, I do. This is my explanation. This is Michael Smith, tight end out of Savannah. I have frequented Savannah back in the day when I was living in Hilton Head. We'd go over there to party.
Yeah.
Shout out to Savannah for their St. Patrick's Day. I heard it's.
Oh yeah, that's coming up. They don't dye the river anymore, though, do they?
I was
Yeah,
about to
yeah,
ask
so-
if they're dying the river.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the nuclear power plant does all the dying for them.
Yeah, right.
actually.
Yeah. But that's what I hear. In any place they used to dye the river, it's like kind of an eco disaster. So they don't really do that so much anymore.
But no, I really like this guy. And yes, you are correct. You caught me. He is not a new Gamecock. The previous weeks we have done a new Gamecock that is a younger player that has not seen the field or in limited amount of playing time, so they still get their red shirt. And yes, you still don't know what a red shirt is. I'm sorry, Mike. I will.
Yeah, so
tell you
let's talk
how it
about
works.
him with his red shirt. Does he have it still, or did he play?
He does not have. He does not have a red shirt. He started
So he's
seven
a
games.
true sophomore now.
So he's a true sophomore. He started 7 games and played in 12 of the 13 games last year. So he does not have a red shirt. He was his production. I don't want to say limited. His production was low because we had Josh Simon, who you guys might have seen last week in the NFL Combine.
Yeah, we
who
talked
did
about
perform very well. So this is why Mike Smith, your namesake, Michael Smith,
Mr. Smith.
is my Gamecock of the week because he is the Savannah Sledgehammer.
Let me just interrupt real quick, Buster and Mike. I love this segment. And whether this guy is a new Gamecock or not, we saw him a few times this year. Let me just say I'm excited to learn about him because he looks like he's a big boy. He looks like he's a big boy at a very, very dynamic position.
Yes, I'm glad you said that, and I'm glad you said that he is a big boy. To me, it's more that the reason why I call him Savannah Sledgehammer. He's built like a truck. I mean, he's 6'6", 255. So, kind of going with that, we lost a lot of production in Josh Simon last year. Josh Simon had 40 catches, 519 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Like that's a great amount of production coming from the tight end position. I believe he led all receivers in receptions. So he was our number one go-to guy. And you saw it in a lot of games where this guy's catching a 5-yard pass and he's turning into a 15-yard gain. The reason why Mike Smith, I think, is going to be better is that he's bigger, faster, stronger. My BFS. Josh Simon was 6'4", 248, 250. This guy's 6'6", 255. He's got a wider build, broader shoulders, but he's still lean. Let's not confuse the idea of having 255 pounds as being heavy. That means you're just packed with muscle. He's a very lean 255. And one thing I like about him is he's got that BFS. He is strong. He's fast. He's got great hands, and I expect big things out of him this year, especially when you do look at his highlights from this past year, especially that Missouri game where he caught the touchdown pass. Like he was able to, which by the way, South Carolina does use multiple tight end sets, and in the particular play against Missouri, he was bunched with Josh Simon and ran a quick up and out into the end zone, 5-yard touchdown reception, great hands, secured the ball, and made the play. So, that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about that athleticism. I'm excited about what he can bring to the receiving aspect, the receiving scheme of the Gamecock offense. So, this guy, yeah, I'm liking what
definitely a lot of opportunity for him. I mean, we've hit on Josh Simon and what he represented. And that's one thing. And hopefully Michael Smith, look, if he can do anything close to what Josh Simon was doing, then we're good there. But for me, it's like this offense wants to grow, right? And Lenore should be throwing more. So for me, it's going to be a little bit about Josh helped Mike come up, and now Mike's probably the guy at sophomore, but he's young. He's only a sophomore. He's going to turn 20 in the middle of the season on like November 7th. So, he's going to have his birthday a couple weeks before the Clemson game. He's got to grow into this role pretty quickly. And I think what shows me that he did is that big note on his file that he did not join this team until the summer of last year. And yet he was still able to cut in, be a force with Simon and a force in the red zone to score a touchdown. So I'm thinking this guy's been committed from the second he got there in the summer. When he re-upped in December, he re-upped right away with Garden Trust. Did not think about it. Pass go, got $200, did the whole thing as fast as he could with very little hoopla. Didn't wait till signing day, didn't do anything else. I think he's going full bore. I think he wants to be Josh Simon, and I think he can be that and more, in that I think he can lead and help grow whoever's coming up after him, because we're going to need it. We're going to need another tight end who did what he did last year, and we might need more out of that. We might want to run more tight end sets depending on our running game and blocking schemes.
Look
right?
at Mike coming through with that inside information. November 7th,
I'm not going to say it's so much
Clemson.
inside,
I like it.
And I appreciate you, Sam. You throw me flowers a lot, but I'm connecting a few dots here to what I know. I know that Lenoris needs more weapons. He is one. Lenoris should already be comfortable with him. I almost feel like this guy's going to operate more like a wide receiver than a tight end for a minute until a couple of our wide receivers get there. Right?
And it'll be fun too, because we mentioned this. Buster's big on Mike Shula, right? New offensive coordinator. You get someone like a Michael Smith running a tight end option like he's in the pros. I mean, 6'6", 255. That's like LeBron James size almost. So I'm thinking about someone who's like hopefully he's really, really fast. We're about to see you're about to break us down some highlights here in a second, but I mean, that's exciting.
And he's just getting bigger,
Mike
right?
Shula offense.
I mean, everything I see listed on the school website is 240s, like 247, 248. Yeah. If he's 255, he's packing on that muscle. He's got a lot more time to do that and hit the weight room.
Well, as you know,
and he's got time to get his younger brethren up to speed here, right? I mean, we're not the deepest after him, and we need to continue to develop players like this and of this caliber who can be, targets for us in the red zone. Because like we said, some of our wide receivers need to improve as well. Some of our wide receivers are very young. These are going to be good outlets. Mike is going to have a route here.
I think with, when you mention Mike Shula in the scheme, like one of the things that's going to happen is Shula is going to have more designed QB runs, not necessarily just Lenoris, dropping back, nobody's open, he's going to take off run. They're going to be designed runs. What that's going to do is that's going to open up the passing game. And so, your receiver is going to be there, but Michael Smith can be a part of that passing game in the same dynamic that Josh Simon is, where you see him not as a dump off or an outlet, you see him as a go-to guy.
Sam's got some highlights for us we can watch.
Yeah. Like, this is a beautiful setup. Like, I absolutely love that. That is a design play to Michael Smith. That is not a dump off. That's not a,
the little glitchiness of it makes it look even better. Like he's flying through everything. But look at how long it takes for that Kentucky corner to get over there. And how he's off and running for a while.
He's not attached to the line. Like, or, he's playing in like I call it the wing. because I came from a wing T back in the Pop
Yeah.
Warner
What is that,
days.
like an
So,
option? That's almost like an option.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like he's
it-
got two options there, right? He could throw it real short, or he could throw it deep, or who is ever more open.
Well,
And they
so
go for the
that
short
looks
guy.
like the way that Lenoris is set back in the pocket. That's a read option play. So he's got the ball. He's got a couple of keys. The defensive end. Maybe it looks like that linebacker on the hash marks just under the 50-yard line. So he's reading those guys. If that defensive end crashes down, he's going to pull the ball away. He sees that linebacker flat-footed. So that linebacker's responsibility is most likely Michael Smith because you're DB up there at the
Yeah, he's
Oh
deep.
yeah, he gets torched.
Totally.
yeah. So that is a read option. So like you can't defend that, and
You almost want him to keep his balance at the end of it and stay in, and then he's gone, you know. But again, he's a redshirt freshman here. This is early in the season. A very well designed play, though, right? I mean, if this is what Shula has to work with, he's going to build on this real easy.
hey,
you know?
this is exactly what we wanted from Michael Smith coming out of Calvary Day in Savannah. Like we beat out Auburn and Tennessee, two SEC schools. One of them being a really good program in Tennessee the last couple of years. So we beat them out. He came to us, and this is why he's got that kind of athleticism to be able to make that play. And the thing is, you know, for tight ends, there are three main keys that a tight end needs to do. You need to block, have good hands, and then from the athletic physicality standpoint, outrun linebackers, which he did on this particular highlight, and then be able to muscle over defensive backs. What we've seen so far is that he can do all three of those. Obviously, being a sophomore, the number one rule in winter camp and going into preseason camp, fall camp, is that you get bigger, faster, stronger. The BFS, learn the playbook. It is cliche. I think I mentioned it last week. It all sounds cliche and status quo, but really,
no.
It's in a program. You use the offseason, the workouts. I think he can get a little bit stronger. That 255 is a great weight, so I would say whatever you could do to change that muscle to fat ratio. So where you were at 8 to 10% body fat, and that 255 is a lot of muscle. You can always work on your speed. Get on the jugs machine, get those hands working. Those sorts of things. And as far as the playbook, it's understanding what you do best. From your route running to your reads, and knowing, developing that relationship with your quarterback so they can trust you on those kind of plays. So, that's where we're going.
Some of these are highlights from him at Calvary Day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, going back now, obviously we took this from GamecockCentral.com, so please don't sue us, GamecockCentral.com. We love you. Thank you for letting us use
I think it's all fair use.
free.
Little shout out, Gamecock Central, another YouTube that I follow, SF Cocky, SFCOCKING. This guy posts, or guy or girl, I don't know, but this page posts highlights from all of our games, football and other aspects of Gamecock sports. He does a really great job. So after you guys finish listening to us, pop over to YouTube. Do the YouTube search.
Yeah, for those of you listening as a podcast style, we're just watching some highlights of Michael Smith. We saw him in the Kentucky game with some great catches, and we got a little highlight reel here of him as a 4-star recruit coming out of Calvary Day, which is what Shane saw to lead him to bring him in.
This is
some great route running here too. I gotta be honest.
The slot right here,
if he's not so big, he's definitely a wide receiver. If he's 6'6" and like 210, then he's a full blown wide receiver. If you ask me.
Yeah, and this is the guy you don't want attached to the line to just merely chip block and run a basic route or like a little underneath
he's so
route or
something
something
there.
like that. This is a guy you unattach. You can put him out wide. You can keep him close to the line. You can run a whole bunch of different formations.
Yeah.
You can scheme to him specifically. And that's what I like about him, and that's why he's my Savannah Sledgehammer Gamecock.
I love the idea of him being out there to like block at first, but really just like in a chip way. And once he realizes that and can gauge that and can work with Lenoris on that, then there's so much for him to do because he can
Mhm.
chip a guy, give Lenoris some room, Lenoris can run. He could chip a guy and Lenoris doesn't really want to run, and he could still hit him in the flat, and then this guy can go.
What's good about
Oh
this,
yeah,
what I like on this route right here is you can see him run it like he obviously, I don't know if it's a designed option where he comes and runs a button hook and then runs out, but he kind of follows the quarterback. The quarterback's kind of rolling out to his right, and then when he sees the quarterback's getting some pressure, then he breaks open. See? Right, he runs
Yeah.
to the right, then he breaks
Oh,
open
yeah.
right there.
Then he kind of breaks,
Bam.
and then there's one more cut near the end, which is what gets him in the end zone. That right there at the end, if he doesn't make one last cut, seeing that guy coming from the left, he doesn't make it in the end zone. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big deal. It feels like he
Shifty.
was a red zone target last year, and without Josh Simon, he is the red zone target right now until Harbor and some other guys can show that they are as sure-handed as we need them to be. I mean, this guy catches everything and is gone when he catches it. So my only thing would be not so many reps that he's worn out and can still do his other duties, blocking and whatever. But yeah, I mean, the other thing here, I mean, look, we've talked a lot about new Gamecocks, and maybe that's the difference with this one is we have footage of him on the squad, and we're not sure what those other guys would do. Kind of like what we did with the Combine. We had one guy who had already gone, and we could say, okay, this is what he did. But, he showed out well last year. He signed early. He was on the squad late, so he's got a full offseason here with Lenoris. We got Lenoris' brother coming in, plus returning wide receivers. I mean, the sky's kind of the limit for this guy. I mean, this guy could end up like Josh Simon or better next year if he plays things correctly.
Yeah, here's him. So this is him coming off the line, right here, right, Buster. So he was lined up on the line, not necessarily a receiver. It's a little screen, tight end screen. Wow.
Oh, and then that fake is great, and he goes.
And that's the thing is, you look at the this screen pass,
and then it's high school football from there. Yeah.
Where that's where you see the athleticism. Like that screen pass, you catch it. A screen pass is meant to make your playmaker make the plays, if that makes sense. Like
no, totally. I mean, the play is there, like you said, but the way the blocks are unfolding, he sees that. Most guys wouldn't cut it back in the middle the way he does, and then his athleticism just takes over, right? And then he's just gone.
Yeah,
and he shouldn't really be that gone from the 40. But I mean, he does it in like friggin' 7 strides, so it's really not that hard.
The
thing is a little bit too like they were playing on some really fast turf there too, so maybe that's part
there's the biggest issue, or not issue. The biggest thing is there is good competition in the room. We brought in Brady Hunt, and then we have that Kentucky transfer, Jordan Dingle. Now, Jordan Dingle is kind of more of that athletic tight end that you saw in Josh Simon and Michael Smith. So, and he is a veteran. I think that helps. Obviously, competition in the locker room is a good thing because it makes everybody play.
Oh yeah,
better.
Totally. But you're right. It does bring in some questions. Does Mike Shula want to do something a little different? Do you have some other talent that might work that's played more SEC games? Maybe you do. When it all shakes down, though, Buster, who do you think is our leading receiving tight end at the end of next year?
Michael Smith.
Yeah.
If he
by
is
a
anything,
lot, or do you think those guys are close on his heels?
Brady Hunt is more of a blocking type. I see him kind of in the mold of a traditional NFL tight end from the 80s and 90s where, occasionally they'll catch a pass, but they're attached to the tackle. They're there to chip, maybe run a decoy route or something like that, a check down, dump off kind of type of thing.
It's starting to feel like with this many tight ends, though, we might even have some other wrinkles on plays. The
good thing is with the multiple tight end set, you have Brady coming in for almost like a max protect type of deal, or to chip a blitzing linebacker or a decoy, and then you have Michael Smith being able to run that route, and you have your fast outside receivers running deep, so it kind of opens up the middle of the field for someone like Michael Smith to make that great play, that gets you 10 to 12 to 15, 20 yards, intermediate routes, things like that. So, there's so many, and that's what I think I'm really looking forward to is someone like Michael Smith only adds to the dynamics of the wide receiver room and the tight end room and to the offensive identity. You have Lenoris being able to run. You have top end receivers that can stretch the field.
You got a running back for him now.
And you have a running back that can make plays. you are basically setting yourself up where you're always at an advantage from an offensive standpoint because
it just
no matter
feels
what
like
the
now
defense does.
we
How
got
much does he remind you of Wesley Saunders?
Wesley was a bit bigger, but and I don't want
maybe
to say
slower.
slower.
maybe slower.
Yeah, I don't
Definitely
want to say
slower.
slower, but technically slower. But one thing about Wesley was, sure hands. Like he was a guaranteed. If you needed 5 yards for a first down, if you needed you're 7 yards out from the end zone, you need a touchdown, you're in the red zone, and you need a big guy to go up and get the ball. Wesley Saunders was that type of guy. Michael Smith can have those same attributes. He can go at 6'6", he can go up and get the ball for you. He can be the reliable receiver when everything else kind of fails in that kind of mold of, like, I won't say dump off, but like when your receivers are covered, everything's coming at you fast, and you need a reliable guy that's going to get it underneath and definitely fight for yards. Michael Smith is going to be that guy. But he's also dynamic enough to where you can run a play like the one on the screen. This is against Missouri. We're down on the 5-yard line.
Good segue. I was just about to prep you on it. Yep.
Good segue.
Yeah, so there's 8 guys in the box, and he slips out underneath, and the guy, that I think that's a linebacker. Let me look. Yeah, that's a linebacker. So we got that bunch formation at the top of the line with Josh Hyman, the other tight end, and you got 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, the safeties are creeping down because you're in the red zone. You've got almost 8 guys in the box here. They're going to probably bring the heat. You got to get rid of this ball quick, and you need to find the end zone. So what do? You snap it. Smith, just like they set up like it's going to be a screen or like a little stretch out for the quarterback. He slips through behind everybody, and to be able to get behind the defense that quickly, you have to be very athletic. So that's what he does. Goes straight up, cuts to the outside.
Good double
boom,
move there.
touchdown.
Yeah.
Double move. Yeah.
He bought the block a little bit, right? Like he was going to set up for a block. He bought it. He sold it.
Yeah. So, if Shula has the dynamic offense that I think he's going to have, it's not necessarily important that he's, quote unquote, listed as the starting tight end or anything like that. The fact is, he could be the primary offensive weapon for the tight ends. As in, when you go out there, if we're playing a 2 tight end set or a 3 tight end set, you could actually do that. I think we've done it before. Where we had Mo Brown, who was the third tight end this past year. You could have him, Brady Hunt, and Jordan Dingle all on the field at the same time. The defense sees 3 tight ends; they think you're going to run, and all of a sudden you slip out with a little rollout, and he gets past the defense, gets behind them, and boom, you're throwing a 5-10 yard pass, and then because of his athleticism, he's taking it 20, 30, or even to the tutties.
All right, here's the $1 million question.
Yeah.
How confident that he can be second team all SEC by his junior year? And what would the bet be in your confidence level, Buster?
Oh, that's a long bet though. Like over a year.
We're betting futures here, and I love
this is the future, baby.
Yeah, no. Depending on and this is all depending on what SEC offenses do. Like it's the idea is, are we going to get more spread and we're looking downfield? Are we going to like play in an offense where the tight end can be a primary offensive weapon? I think with Shula, if that's the case, and he has that standout kind of career, I'm not going to say that he could be a Kyle Pitts type of guy, but I could definitely see him being an all SEC. He will be a SEC first team, junior year, second team, or we'll say second team in the sophomore year.
Nice. I
First
love
team
that.
His junior year, he's got the accolades, he's got the talent.
Stays healthy, obviously. Yeah.
Stays healthy. And again, this is all in a vacuum of no one gets injured because you can't ever plan those things. So we're not talking about that. So junior year, he's good enough. He's got the stats. He's got the accolades. He declares for the draft, and I could see him being amongst the tight ends, probably a top 3, top 5. He's got that kind of
playmaking. Depends on the class and who else goes.
Yeah,
But on
he's
that
good.
tip, just because we're hinting around it a little bit, we've mentioned a few all-time tight ends at South Carolina here. I'm going to mention a
Mhm.
few, but there's one I want to get to. But the few I want to mention are fairly recent. We saw them play in the 2000s. Justice Cunningham played with Wesley Saunders, who we mentioned already.
Yep.
Johnny Gregory was another one from way back in the day in the 60s. I watched some highlights of him. Um, who were some other ones? Shaheem Bell was pretty
Jared Cook,
recent.
man, remember how good Jared
No,
Cook
for
was in the
sure, for
NFL?
sure. Jared
Jared
Cook,
Cook,
yes, yes.
Darrell
Shaheem
Adams.
Bell though is kind of listed as one of the most talented tight ends, but he had a complicated relationship with coaches and fans and ended up going to Florida State. Um, and
Boy,
some other ones.
Bell had that amazing bowl game. What was it, against North Carolina? Was it?
Yeah, the
Yep,
Duke's
yep.
Mayo Bowl, where he did
Yeah.
very well. And the biggest issue was he was athletic enough to be a tight end, but he was a tweener. He wasn't like, we're looking at Michael Smith's size of 6'6", 250.
Yeah.
James Bell was nowhere near that. If you're looking at more traditional tight ends, you're looking at Rory Busta Anderson from
Oh, come on. You steal my thunder here. What are you doing? That was the one I'm trying to get to. Okay, now I'll finish my spiel.
I had to say
Chris
his
Corley,
nickname
who was
before your time.
6'5" and 285. And the
Yeah.
biggest reason to mention him is I was 1 year old when he was playing. And he was part of the two-headed duo at tight end for the 1984 Black Magic season, which I really wanted to say Black Magic. But then, yes, because we have our own Buster, what I'm seeing as number 6 as Garnett and Cocky's tight end of all time, Rory Busta Anderson, which sounds like your namesake, which I wanted to say, but you took it. That's fine.
Well,
this is your segment.
I'm surprised because you are an adopted Giants fan, because your wife is a Giants fan. You forgot about a Gamecock that did play for the New York Giants at tight end, Jarrell Adams, 6'5", 247, out of Somerton, South Carolina. Very small town. I think they maybe have half a stoplight. I'm not sure. It's a small. But kind of in that mold of big body, but freakishly athletic. That there was Jarrell Adams there. So
yeah, that's the only thing with some of these guys is you try to follow them into the NFL, and they were so big and huge and injured in college that their careers were shorter, right? Like Rory Busta was one that was short. Then continuing up that list, they got number 5, Doug Hamrick. Was in the 60s and 70s when we were ACC champion. So he was an ACC champion at tight end for South Carolina. That's pretty cool. Then you start going, being way back then. Number 4, Willie Scott in 1977.
What's this list you're reading from, Mike?
This is Garnett and Cocky. Their top 10 tight ends.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm big on lists. They list it's from 2023. So we can get some newer ones in there and, maybe update this list eventually. And who knows, maybe Mike Smith is on it. But just to wrap it up, they had Danny Smith as number 3. He was kind of a wide receiver as well. He was in the 80s for us. Very physically impressive. A lot. I mean, suffice to say, basically what I'm getting at, there's a big history of tight ends at South Carolina that go to the NFL that are big bodies guys like this. So we're not grabbing at straws here. We kind of know what we're talking about. But yes, Jared Cook was on that list. They had him as number 2. Sam, you nailed that. I remember watching him play for the Rams. Greatest show on turf. He got around. He had a good. He had a good
career. Play the Titans for a little
good
bit.
NFL career.
Was he on the Packers?
13 years is
Yeah,
good.
he was on the Packers for a little bit there.
Yeah.
I think
Multi-time Pro Bowler.
I think for me, Michael Smith. You know who he reminds me of? This is the guy. And again, we are saying player comps, not in the sense of production, because we don't know until they get to the NFL or anything like that. We're just saying based on maybe a skill set, size-wise, things like that. But one person that Michael Smith reminds me of is Marcus Colston for the New Orleans Saints out of Hofstra. And why I remember him was
amazing.
The only other football player that came out of Hofstra was, do you guys know?
Oh man, give me the time frame.
A little hint.
Late 80s, early 90s.
I've never
played for the Jets. Wide receiver for the Jets.
In the 90s?
White guy.
No, I don't
Wayne
know.
Sherbret.
Wayne Corbett?
Ryan Kribet.
Quebec went to Hofstra?
He went to
cool.
Hofstra.
That's a good
I
one.
And
didn't know
so
that.
Marcus Colston was the other guy that went to
He
Hofstra.
was definitely 90s, man. He was.
And
I don't know if he was 80s.
So we'll just
my
finish up that
concussions get
list.
those,
And this
get
feels a
them
little
all.
loaded, but they have the greatest tight end of all time at South Carolina as a more recent tight end we have not mentioned yet. So I will throw it out to you two because you guys know who this is.
Yep.
I wouldn't have said he's number one, but I get why. Do you want me to throw it out there, or do you guys have it?
I mean, if you can throw it out there, I already know who it is.
You know, then let's see what
I
Sam knows.
I don't want you to ruin your surprise.
What am I driving to a funeral, Sam?
Is it going to be Mo Brown? Is that who we're going to say?
No, Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst. Well, I don't really get that because like he was great. He had almost 1,200 yards in 2 seasons. So, and that one-handed grab in that win against Florida is kind of an all-time tight end moment. So I'd like to see him flash in the NFL before I give him greatest tight end of all time.
He's kind of an injury threat in the NFL. Otherwise, when he was on his Bengals teams, he was really like Joe Burrow was slinging it.
I don't know. I kind of thought Gesicki did more than he did more recently, but you're right. And this is a good one just to say because I don't remember saying this, but I remember him doing this. Do you guys remember the play they would run with him in South Carolina, the dump truck sweep, where he would actually run the ball? I just love that name. Can we use that? Can that just be a play? Dump truck sweep. That's the best.
The other one that like you guys have not mentioned, and a lot of Gamecock fans will know this. He played with us. So he's in the NFL, plays for the Denver Broncos currently. He was with us.
Dulcich?
Shane Beamer's second year when we beat Clemson with Shane Beamer for the first time. Not the first time we've ever beat Clemson, but Shane Beamer's first victory against Clemson.
Yeah.
He had a phenomenal one-handed stretch out, reach for the skies type of catch. Son of our offensive line coach at the time, Nate Atkins.
Oh,
that guy.
Yeah, remember him. Yeah,
that's interesting because they got a lot of tight ends there. No, they did get rid of Greg Dulcich, so he's not there. And Sean Payton is very weird with his tight ends and how he uses them because I always loved Greg Dulcich, but then Sean Payton came into Denver, didn't use them. And Atkins is getting some play. It's him, Troutman, and Lucas Krull there are their tight ends. Yeah.
So I mean, and that's the thing is. I love it because people will talk about wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks. The fullback, thankfully, it's not going to go away. Luckily, there are several podcasts out there that do talk about fullbacks. There's one in particular that gives out.
I'm sure they talk about dump truck sweeps,
but no one ever talks. We've gotten some run on some tight ends recently, especially with Tight End University with George Kittle and those guys.
Oh yeah, tight end day, National Tight End Day.
I appreciate the idea that the tight end is not the lost position on offense. Like, it does not need to go to the wayside, much like the fullback position has, and I miss that because fullbacks were awesome. Tight ends are just as awesome.
I would agree. I would just say that things have gotten more vertical. Like a tight end like George Kittle is rarer and rarer. I mean. George Kittle does what he does, and we love him, and he's emotional, and he loves the position, and he's a very smart player. But don't get it twisted. He's a better blocker than he is anything.
Oh, yeah, and that he takes pride in his blocking, and that's what makes a tight end awesome to me. If you can have the athletic ability to have a receiver-type responsibility as far as your offensive scheme is such that you are considered a receiver and not just a blocker. But when it comes to blocking, you take pride in it like George Kittle does.
Yeah, before anything else. Like I want my tight end to consider himself an O-lineman before anything else.
Yeah.
But, that's why I want him eating meals with the O-line sometimes, And then when he catches balls and runs it loose, they love that, right? When an offensive lineman, you're on the 1 yard line, an offensive lineman declares and catches that ball in there. That whole offense is celebrating. What
was it that one play George Kittle had a couple of years ago where he caught the ball? It was like a 4th and long. He caught the ball, stiff-armed like 40 people, broke like 100 tackles to get like a 30-yard gain on like a 4th and long. And it was the most impressive.
Something
thing
with
ever.
George Kittle is part of me thinks Yes, he's good at eluding people and stiff arming people. Also, he's like a little greasy all the time,
Yeah.
like his hair is like not washed and like he's a little
Yeah.
greased up.
He
But
needs that
no,
head and shoulders. He needs to start learning from Troy Polamalu and getting that head and
Yeah.
shoulders form.
yeah, that head and shoulders. Yeah, yeah.
There's your Steelers reference, Sammy boy.
No, but this is great. I mean,
I'm
this
excited
acts
for Michael
as
Smith, man.
this whole episode ends up acting as
I
a new
think he-
Gamecock of the week, but also tight ends for Carolina, which is a fun.
I think
concept.
Michael Smith's going to make that list in the future. I think he's going to be a top 10 tight end at
Yep.
University of South Carolina of all time. I got my
Wow.
that's my guess.
Bold statements. You heard it here first.
The boldest.
And we're following Buster's lead here. Fair, balanced, always reasonable, always fun.
Yeah. So I will put I'll put it here. I have my little sheet that says futures, and I have my bets there for my futures. So
That's a good one.
I think maybe we'll do a nice scotch for my future. So again, I see that this upcoming year, sophomore year, I could see him being second team All SEC, and junior year first team All SEC. So there's a bottle of scotch somewhere in there.
I would definitely ink somewhere in there once or twice over the next 2 seasons. Offensive SEC Player of the Week too. I could see a breakout game where we look at him in the red zone twice quickly, and he has 2 touchdowns and 80 yards in the game, and that's enough to throw you into that conversation for sure.
To me, it's I want to see a stiff arm, and I want him to sling like a defensive back off from like a rag.
Yeah. And obviously, we're saying all this with a grain of salt. Anything can happen. Obviously, injury, depth chart. But this does not seem like a guy who would transfer. He wanted to be
knocking on wood.
Signed right
no
away.
Injuries.
Yeah.
So
and look at the quarterback he's got that already trusts him in the red zone. So it's kind of built in. It's really just, does Shula bring a little X factor that we don't know about? Does the schedule bring us a little X factor we don't know about? But other than that, guys, I think we've covered this Savannah Sledgehammer pretty good. Sounds like a movie.
I
to
love
me.
that name, the Savannah Sledgehammer.
Yeah,
man.
I know. There's a movie from
It's
back in the
gonna
day called The Hebrew Hammer. Different movie, but who knows? Maybe
It's gonna be on Google now. It's gonna be
he could do like a
Googleable term.
Shaq Fu thing, and like that'd be kind of fun.
hey, I'm the king of nicknames for I have nicknames for all of our players. Anytime we do a Gamecock of the Week, new Gamecock of the Week, a sophomore Gamecock of the Week, I'll have a nickname for them. So no, we're looking forward.
Plus, I'm always on a sophomore. I feel like you got lost as a sophomore. People forget about you. It's nothing's new anymore. You're kind of like old hat, sophomore slump. But for tight ends, it feels like it's a time to shine. You know what you're doing now.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think we covered this one. I hope Michael Smith is proud and looking forward to seeing him in spring sessions and into the fall. But that's probably going to do it for this episode of Alumni Game.
Comments. If you got something that you want to say about Michael Smith, if you got a player you want us to talk about, whatever it is around the Gamecock program, we are in winter workouts. We're getting ready for spring. We have the summer and then preseason camp. In any of that time, you want us to highlight a football player that you want to talk about, see, and win All SEC, drop it in the comments.
Well, Gamecock fans, to echo what Buster was saying here, definitely let us know any other new Gamecocks you want from football, basketball, baseball. They're all getting going. We're recruiting guys onto football, ladies basketball in the tournament, men's basketball not, but playing hard, and then baseball getting going. So there's all that to pick from. Let us know what you want to see, who you want to talk about. Don't forget to like, subscribe on YouTube if you like what you're seeing. We got our Instagram. We're on different podcast places you can get your podcast now, and we're kind of cleaning that up. If you can't get it, let us know. We'll try and fix it. And that's going to do it for another new or second-year Gamecock and alumni
Game
Cocks.
Game
Cox.
There we go, boys.